Hello warriors, we've finally created our first Nestjs project from the previous episode, and do you know what that means? Of course, it means that we are ready to build whatever features we want in the project. And we're gonna start with making database first. Let's roll. When it's about building a database, we've two choices, SQL or NoSQL. SQL will make us define a table and the table works like a whitelist. When we save a data, SQL will compare the data to the table to see if they match. If they don't match, SQL will reject the data. In contrast, NoSQL doesn't require to define a table, so there is no restriction when saving a data. However, if we throw some third-party library such as Mongoose on top, NoSQL can replicate something similar to the table in SQL, and we can call it schema instead of table. There are way more information to talk about it when it comes down to comparing SQL to NoSQL, but what matters is Nestjs supports both types of database system and it's free to choose whatever you want. We're gonna roll with NoSQL for this series. This is an overview of hands-on practice. We're gonna create Github repo, create a milestone and an issue, then connect remote repo to local repo, make necessary branches, and we're gonna work on it, and then make a commit. And finally, we're gonna merge branches. Let's start. Let's make our Github repo. Let's look at on top right, there is a plus icon. Let's click that, and it's gonna show you a menu, and we're gonna select new repository. Click that, and it's gonna ask you to name your repository. We're gonna name it, you can name it however you want, but for me I'm gonna name it play with Nestjs tutorial. It's available. If you'd like to make it private, set it to private, but for me I'm gonna just leave it as it is public. And description is optional, but if you like to describe it, feel free to describe it. So I'm gonna just say let's play with Nest.js. That's my description. I don't wanna initialize this with any like unnecessary files. I want it to be empty. So I'm not gonna check this, and everything looks good. We don't have a template for this. So create repository. Let's click that. Now your repository is created. The next thing we want to do is we want to connect this remote repo to your local repo. Open up the project where we left off from the previous episode. So I already opened it. The first thing we want to do is connect the remote repo to the local repo, this project. So make sure you have copied the URL. Make sure it's HTTPS, or if you're using SSH, that's fine. But for this series, I'm gonna be using HTTPS. So copy that. Go back to the project. Use command git remote add and the name you want to use. So for me, I wanna use name origin for this remote repo and paste the link and hit enter. After that, we wanna see it if it's connected. So git remote -v will show you list of your remote repo, and right now the origin is successfully linked. So next thing we wanna do is we wanna make a development branch, work on that branch, and then merge it to master branch, and master branch will be our final product. There are no commits, so let's make a commit and make a separate branches. So git add that will stage. So right now on the left the files are green, that means they are not staged. So when we make a commit, we want to let Git know that we want to include those files when we make a commit. So let's just type it git add dot. Dot meaning all files. Enter. Now we make a commit. Git commit. We have to set our emails and name, and those will be automatically included when you commit. Let's start with setting the emails. Copy that command and then input your email and hit enter. And your name. And if you don't want to put your name, that should be fine. The command work. The first line will be title for the commit. So I'm gonna just name it initial lines. After the first line will be just what we worked on. We worked on nothing, so just I'm gonna set it to empty. And after you're done, press Ctrl and O and enter. After that, it's saved, so Ctrl X to get out. So now the commit has made. Let's see if commit is there. So git log -- one line. So as you can see, the initial commit is there. So after that, we're gonna actually work on the flow we want is make a separate branch from master branch, and then when that branch is complete, we want to merge that separate branch to master branch. So let's make separate branch git checkout b and development. So this command will switch us to this development branch, and at the same time it's gonna create development branch. So hit enter. If you see on the bottom left, now before we were in master branch, now it's switched to development branch. From development branch, we wanna make another separate branches. Those are like feature branches. We wanna name the branch the feature we wanna work on. So this time, let's type git checkout space -b and feature -mongoose. So let's hit enter. Git branch. So now we have three branches: development, feature mongoose, and master. We know we are at the feature mongoose branch because there's a star behind the name. After we finish working on this feature mongoose branch, we're gonna make a commit again and push it to remote repo. And at remote repo, we're gonna merge this feature mongoose branch to development branch. And then we're gonna come back to the local repo. Then we're gonna pull the development repo, and then from there we're gonna work on another features. And when development branch is finally completed, we're gonna merge that to master branch, and master branch is ready to be deployed. Now we are ready to start to work on our feature. But before we do that, we have one more step. Let's push it to a remote repo. Let's start with pushing master branch first. So git push origin master. So it's asking your password. So every time when you push and pull, it's gonna ask you like enter your password. It's kinda like annoying. So let's make a computer remember our username and password. So later time we don't have to repeat this. So we just close it. The extension Github wants to sign in using Github. I actually have never seen this, so let's see. Hello. Let's continue and see what it does. Authorize Github. Absolutely. Enter your password. So it says success. My VS Code is already open, but I'm just gonna open it again. So allow extension to open this URL. Open. Put that set up the automatic login. So we just push the master branch to remote repo. Let's close that. Let's go back to the remote repo and hit code. Now master branch is there and it's default. Let's push development branch. Git push origin development. Okay, it's not asking my password, so it looks like automatically set up the automatic login. Go back to remote repo, refresh the page. Development is there. Let's document what we're gonna do. So let's go to issue, milestone. We're gonna create a milestone, name it mongoose. Due date, I don't have a due date for this. Description, set up mongoose. Create milestone. Now there's a milestone. Go back to issue. And now we're gonna create new issue. that what you want to work on. So our issue is we don't have a schema for mongoose. So let's say like our issue is like set up mongoose. So set up mongoose. Leave a comment. Thank you. Assign is assign yourself. Labels, enhancement, milestone, mongoose. After that, submit new issue. Now the issue is there. We just documented our what we like our intentions, and we are ready to start our work. Let's go back to the project. So we need these packages in order to complete this series. First one, so Nestjs provides nice handy tools for Mongoose, and we have to install this. The rest is we wanna use a lean feature that provided by Mongoose. So we needed these, and next line is types for Mongoose. I will put this description, so please check. Let's copy that and paste it here and enter. Okay, the installing package is done. And let's install types. Okay, types are installed. Let's set up folders for mongoose. So inside the source folder, create new folder and name it mongoose. And inside mongoose folder, create user folder. Inside the user folder, we're gonna create user schema. So name it user.schema.ts. This is the base start of building mongoose schema with Nestjs. If you like to set options for schema, just pass options to schema decorator. And options can be found link. If you'd like to set options for schema field, pass options to prop decorator. Options can be found here, and for this schema I wanted to enable collation, and I made separate variable for collation setting because when I set index I will have to reuse collation options, so I made it separate variable. Enabling collation will automatically add collation to query when mongoose sends query to mongoose. Index with collation will be case insensitive. I wanted to include virtuals and getters when two JSON and two objects get called, so they are set to timestamps will automatically add created and updated field and set time. These are my options for this schema. Next. Date plugin and isDelete plugin will be created in a separate files. Right now it's saying cannot be found, but later time we wanna implement. This is a login subdocument, and subdocument will be created in a separate file. This is a name subdocument, and it'll be created in a separate files. As you can see, our require flag is set to this is an email subdocument, and subdocument will be created in a separate file. Rows will indicate current user's role. There can be more than one role, so its type is array of string. Mongoose will only allow string in enum with the enum option turned on, and enum will be created in a separate file. As you can see, the enum is enabled here. So these are only allowed values. We assign a default value, role.user, and enum will be create. Avatar will keep an URL of image of current user. For avatar, we will have to set up file upload and file download later time. Social media handles for social logins. So when user enable their social login, we want to keep their social username. So that for this one, we are using mongoose map. Created ad is storing the time of creation date, and we don't want to change that, so return immutable, prevent any modification. We don't have a prop decorator for update because timestamps flag is doing all the work behind the scene, and these are virtuals and it will be done in a separate file. This is also just plugin that is deleted. Implementation of is deleted will happen in deleted plugin. JS class is not hoisted, so we are going to use function to return schema. Nestjs will consume decorator to return schema. This is the function that consumes decorator, and after go through all the process, what we get is a mongoose schema. So these are just managing plugins. Date add and is deleted are something we use in other schema creation. So I made it to plugin so I can reuse it. User query, we're gonna implement it in a separate file. This is for Mongoose plugin helper, and we will implement it in a separate file. MongoDB create binary search tree with the index to speed up searching. So this is just customizing my index. I set index for is deleted because I wanna be able to search fast using is deleted. As you can see, it has some options. I wanted to make this index to be unique, case insensitive, and only valid when value exists. If you want to configure like this, we have to set index to be this way. Passing options to prop decorator is not the only way to configure your schema field. We could select path and make options dynamic. We select field with path function. So in this case, I'm selecting login path, and then whether it should be required or not, that depends on whether we have social media handles or not. We want to validate the emails. So if emails for this case it's array, and if email doesn't have any length, we have to have at least one email. We set it this way. Okay, next we have user interface. These are something nice to have if you don't like to keep tracking of your types. The user document is for just type for user document. So it's extending user and then mongoose document without ID because I get conflict error. Interface for user query is this is for what kind of query helper I created. So if the user query is a list of query functions I created, I will be making by ID, by login username, by email query helpers. Type for user document query is TypeScript ask for a return type. So I had to set it to user document query so I don't get like a type error. Starting with the user query, just the implementation of Mongoose query helpers. As you can see, I have by ID, by login username, by email. So let's create sub schema for user schema. Create folder. So we need a login schema. So let's create login schema. So login schema is pretty much repeating what we had done with the user schema. For sub schema, I just put everything in one file. And in the end, I'm just returning schema. And next, we need name sub document. So let's create. So name schema has a family name, given name, last name, first name, and type for document, and set some index and return it. Next, we need email document. So for email document, we have email and make sure it's verified. We want to know if it's a real email or not. So we have verified field, type for document, then we return schema. Let's make index files, index.ts. We need index for user. Finally, let's make a user model factory. We need a plugin, so let's make a plugins. Make a plugin folder. And one more thing, we have to make a folder name. Move users in. Make an index file. Let's just start with date. So this is pretty much setting virtual for created date, virtual created time, updated date, updated time. We also needed to make a time modifier functions. Using this plugin can declare is deleted automatically. Type in default false. This is password plugin. For password, we have to install bcrypt using and some password validation. We need util functions, so make a util. And for last, we need So we created a user schema. We created the sub schema. Then we just implement necessary functions like enumerators, interfaces for plugin, and plugin the end interfaces for user, motor factory. So let's make a commit and push it to remote repo. First we stage all the files, hit commit. First line is a title, so I'm gonna just name it mongoose schema, user schema. I wanna say user schema. I'm just gonna say that. And Control O, enter, Control X, and we're gonna push it to our remote repo. So git push origin and feature mongoose. Okay, now we go to the repo, the code, and it says feature mongoose have recent pushes less than a minute. So compare, make a pull request, and we wanna push that to development. Reviewer, I don't have a reviewer. Myself, Chinese myself, label enhancement, milestone mongoose, link issues, create pull request, and I wanna link issue. That was my issue. We already know in normal cases you would review files, but in this case we already know what changes we made, so we're just gonna merge pull request, confirm merge, and it says successfully merged and closed. So once it's merged, just delete branch and set up mongoose. Go to the issue and close issue. Now the issue is closed. Code development. So inside development we have our code. So here we're gonna go to development branches. So git checkout development, enter, git for origin development, and git branch. We're gonna delete that feature mongoose. Git branch, the git branch. We are at development, and feature mongoose is been deleted. All right, so that's it. So we set up our user schema. Thank you for watching.